Our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So we want to talk about karma, and Cindy got a message from the guides about karma. Now, some people interpret karma as God's wrath, or they might not even think of karma. They might just think, this is just all the wrath of God. This is just basically, God lashing out at us. Well, I think the first thing we have to do is distinguish the fact that there's a lot of beings that have played God, so to speak. And I think that that term needs to be really, really probably done away with in more than one ways, because it just covers too many different things to too many different people. As we've talked about the ultra-terrestrial situation and how many beings have treated humans as just a resource, a herd to be culled every now and then, a flock to be shorn. Yeah, and again, the loosh effect, the fact that there's different beings that feed off of negative energies, emotions. Let's not talk about that. What we want to talk about is truly, it's the law of cause and effect. That's really what we're talking about, i.e. karma. Every action causes a reaction. And, we have to recognize that controlling the mind is the beginning to true understanding. When we look to the 7 hermetic principles, you have the principle of mentalism, recognizing ultimately everything is mind. The universe is mental, or we could say it's consciousness. It's all about consciousness. The principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. The principle of vibration, nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Nothing stays exactly the same. That's a real key to understand too. Principle of polarity, everything is dual. Everything has its poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. We have yin and yang that keeps motion. And so we have the principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Different cycles, tides. All things rise, all things fall. And then you have the principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine, feminine principles. We're going to focus in on the principle of cause and effect. Everything happens according to the laws of nature. Everything happens according to the laws of the programming of this matrix. And every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. This is what we need to realize and recognize. Yes, sometimes there are beings with more technology than us, more understanding of how the universe works, for lack of a better word, playing with us, or playing us as a fool or a fiddle. And yet what we want to talk about is something in our control, and that's karma and our own actions and reactions to everything around us.
So I think when it comes to karma and cause and effect, the biggest problem we have these days is the judgment people give each other. I think that's what throws karma off. Karma is belonging to each and in every individual person, and you just never know what you may or may not do in that person's shoes until you walk in them for a while. And when you feel what they feel, and you see what they see and hear what they hear and have the emotions that they have, then maybe you can understand why someone may have done what they had done. And you just don't understand, until you're really, truly in that person's footsteps. And we quite literally cannot do that. And, looking back on my own life, I've made some very poor choices, but I was in situations that anybody would make strange choices if they were in those positions. So, the judgment factor on that can be kind of harsh if you don't really know truly what that person is going through. But in this journey, I was directed to this information, which I appreciate, about the 5 signs karma has been dissolved for you. 5 signs your karma is complete. So karma is the great cycle of cause and effect, the weaving of lessons through our lives. When it is resolved, you begin to notice a quiet shift. The first one is emotional neutrality. Moments and people that once triggered you no longer hold power. You observe instead of react, meeting life with a calm presence. And number 2, no more repeating patterns. The same struggles no longer circle back. Old lessons have been learned, and the cycle of repetition comes to rest. Number 3, freedom from the past. Regret, guilt, and old stories lose their weight. The past transforms into wisdom, not a burden, and you can move forward. Number 4, you begin to get effortless flow in life. Life begins to align with ease. Opportunities meet you at the right time, and your path unfolds without resistance. And number 5, gratitude and acceptance. You feel peace in both joy and challenge, recognizing every experience as part of your growth. Gratitude rises naturally for the journey itself. When karma is complete, you step into true freedom, no longer ruled by the past, but guided by wisdom, clarity, and inner peace. I found this to be very, very important. It's something that we can shift our energy in and out of. If you're not having emotional neutrality, ask why. What do I need to do to finish out my karma with this situation? Do I need to bring resolution to it? Do I need to leave it alone? Do I need to set it free? What do I need to do to bring emotional neutrality? And repeating patterns, that's something that we have to all observe and look at and decide for ourselves. Are we going through repeated patterns, and are we causing it ourselves? And why are we causing it ourselves? And how? What do we need to do in that pattern to break it? Freedom from the past. Lots of people have done things that they really, really regret, and they probably lay at night awake and they cringe and their toes curl and they're like, how could I ever do this? What happened? But really, it's just you. You're the one remembering. You're the one who's still judging yourselves. And if it's in the past and you've changed your ways, then there is no reason to continue to worry about that. We can only go forward. The effortless flow part is probably my favorite, when things just start to come together. Oh my gosh, thank goodness. It seems like my life got a lot better when Mike showed up. Things started to flow. And we went with the flow, and we still do. And so we still meet our challenges, but we meet them with, understanding and acceptance, and we embrace it, and we do our best with what we have, and then we have no regrets. So gratitude and acceptance for all of these challenges too, very, very important part of our path. That gratitude is just, the fact that we're here, we're in the 3D. It's not always easy, but we're here, we're in the 3D, and there are a lot of really good things about it. If we sit and think about it, there's a lot of joy that has come from our lives just being here. So I hope that helps somebody.
Absolutely. And, as you were saying all that, what was hitting me was coming to mind. It's like, in some ways we could equate karma to, it's kind of almost like a monetary system. So can you imagine like rolling up into Vegas, you come on in and you start gambling, and, you get deeper and deeper into the hole with the house. And so when we look to the beings that we might view as creating great injustices against humanity, so to speak, you're not going to be able to get off the wheel. You're not going to be able to literally walk out that door until you are at least break even. And so, weighing the soul against a feather, your soul must be light. And in effect, your actions and deeds throughout various incarnations, that line of thinking that came to mind is that we have to at least balance our karma before we can really, truly go and look at taking up residence in a new reality.
It's true. And yeah, a lot of people keep spending in that casino in hopes to break even, and they just continue to dig and continue to dig. And what they need to do is they need to break that pattern and get up and walk out and just take their losses and deal with it from there. And sometimes that's not very fun, but you know what? It breaks the pattern, and that's the most important thing. So we need to think about what's the more important thing, breaking even or breaking the pattern.
So the universal law of karma is that of action and reaction, cause and effect, sowing and reaping, right? I mean, that's in the Bible, sowing and reaping. And course of natural righteousness, man by his thoughts and actions becomes the arbiter of his destiny, no longer tied to the karmic indebtedness. So, this is again how you can go deeper into some of the biblical sayings and find that, their origin, their source are from materials that are far more ancient. And then they start to make sense when you look at things in terms of the law of karma, the law of cause and effect. So I hope there's something that inspires you in this. As always, we want to thank everybody for their support. We couldn't do it without you guys. This is who we truly are. We view ourselves as teachers and guides and healers. Again, if you do need help with ascension, energy work, Vedic astrology, biofield tuning, you could reach us at evolutionaryenergyarts.com, or you could also go and send us an email, evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. We would look forward to working with you guys. Allow about 2 to 3 weeks to get on the schedule. As always, you know who's counting on you and who gives you absolutely uncontrollable, unconditional love. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.